All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, for your instant reaction to Texas Tech losing 27-14. As always, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Hey, just trying to suffer through this with everybody else. Looks like Tech finishes with 5 turnovers on the evening, including 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles that were lost. There's actually another fumble that basically cost another touchdown, but at least it wasn't lost. So, yeah, it's hard to QB3 on the road, the ball over 5 times to the other team and expect to win. The second half seemed to go a little bit more like I thought the game actually would, but even that wasn't good. But the defense at least stepped up. I'm just I don't know what to do here. It went poorly. I didn't think it was going to go well, but I did not think it was going to go this poorly.
Yeah, I would count those turnover and downs as turnovers, but if you're talking about the fumble on fourth down basically led to that first one. So um, you had 7 drives end up where you gave the ball back. Uh, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles. I mean, it's just terrible all the way around. Um, I mean, there's not. I mean, what could go wrong did. Um, you can't say it's one. Um, one side of the ball over another. I mean, offense sucked, defense sucked, special teams sucked. Um, Jake Strong sucked. There were times when Taj Brooks sucked. I mean, again, you had no pass rush. Um,
Yeah, again,
you
none.
yeah. Um, Obviously, -5 on turnovers. Um, I mean, realistically, like BYU shouldn't have been able to be like even on the same field as you tonight. Um, but not only did you keep them in the game the way you played, just absolutely kept you out of it. I mean, um, just battered as a Tech fan, right? We've talked about this in Discord. It's just like um, I don't know why we signed up to do this. Um, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
it gets
I'm
you
not even
every
sure
time.
what else to say. I you know, in the preview, I don't think what we saw was incorrect. I think the way the game played out in the second half, BYU couldn't move the ball, and that's who they were. They're terrible. Um, but apparently didn't really make that much of a difference when you're with a true freshman, his first start on the road, and you have the offensive staff that you do. Um, so I don't know what else you can say about that. It's
Well, and
just they suck. So
as much as the defense buttoned it up in the second half, the first half, the 2 scoring drives were not after poor position. I think they started on Tech's 19 and Tech's 25. I mean, they were long drives that the defense just couldn't stop them. And even at the end of this broadcast, Papadakis was talking about how BYU's rushing offense is practically fixed now because they played Texas Tech, and so now it's fixed, which is great. I'm really happy for him. But it's not like they rushed out of the field or anything, but their yards per attempt were insane in the first half. They were 8.7 yards per attempt rushing the ball, and then the defense really shored up in the second half, held that down to 3.2, which is right around their average. I think, Spencer, you looked at it, sack adjusted. I think they came into this week averaging 3 yards per carry. And so this is something
yeah,
that we felt pretty confident going into this, that BYU wasn't going to be able to run the ball on Tech that much, but they ran it very effectively against them in the first half, and especially on those 2 drives. where it was needed the most. Their freshman running back, of course, granted he's hasn't played very many games, but he got his longest career carry on the second play of the game. You get 55 yards, just boom,
Yep.
you're in the red zone. And then BYU's just about automatic in the red zone, and they were again tonight. They were 3 for 3. But the defense, hey, they did something in the second half. I knew it wasn't going to matter because I knew the offense was going to be unable to come back down 3 scores. It was just not going to happen. But they forced 6 punts in the second half. We got to see that really good punter from BYU come out, which is really impressive. He had a 70-yarder at one point. I like punts. I know you don't, but yeah, it's just a bumbling review of a game that was almost written like this would be the game that got the team right in some movie, because so many dumb things went wrong. All of the penalties that went wrong, the 12 men on the field that should have been called that wasn't, um, the review that saved BYU a timeout or a challenge, and they would have lost it because Tech actually made the first down. Just none of that mattered, but it was just so bizarre. So many ultimate bizarre things that just continue to happen to this team. You get a guy called out in front of a stadium of I don't know how many thousands of people for supposedly spitting on another player. You just blurt that out for everybody. I'm glad he got off the field pretty quickly. I know everybody in Provo's pretty nice, but I didn't want to challenge that to that extent. But just a complete meltdown failure, a scripted thing that if you watch this on TV, if you saw that on Friday Night Lights, you go, well, that was a little heavy-handed. That was a little much. But no, that's our football team right now, and that's what we're looking at going into a very long bye week that they need, that I need mentally as a fan, and as someone who's watching these things and trying to instantly react to them with any sort of uh, grain of thought beyond just what the hell's happening. It's really hard to put anything together.
Yeah, I just
We've got here's go ahead, man. I thought we could go to the YouTube comments if you want. We've got some guys in here that
we'll get there in a
might need to
second.
vent a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're watching live with us, let us know how you felt the game was going. I just I look around it and it's like I don't, I want to call people out, and then I realize like I want it. It won't do any good. Like it won't even help me feel better, right? But like
Yeah.
you can look anywhere. You look at coaches. You get specific players. You could um, anywhere. Like man, they were bad because that's just how bad it was. How heavy-handed, like you said, it was. How scripted it sounded. Like um, you know, my favorite crutch is to talk about the bad officiating, but like it felt so one-sided. Did it matter? No, because like everything else, it wasn't just like, oh, you got hosed on a bad call. It was literally everything. And I just want to say, like, with how bad it was to lose by 13 with the absolute disaster that you saw on the field, like, should point to tell you how much BYU sucks. Like, this is a terrible loss. You and lost by 13 on the road, like you should have wiped the floor with these guys. Um, so that's all I got. I
I
I say we look through some of
I had a quick
some of the
thought.
comments. Sure.
Yeah, we can go through the comments, but I had a quick thought first. I just want to openly ask if the coaching staff is trolling its fans because all week we've been hearing the revisionist history of, oh well, you can't run against a 7-man box, you can't run against 8-man box. But all I heard in the pregame conversation with McGuire was the exact opposite, and he was saying that he's not. This was almost a direct quote because I was doing dishes at the time, so forgive me. It's not perfect, but he said he's not typically an if they're overloading the box, run it anyway type guy, but we need to take pressure off Jake today. And then I heard one of the players come out, and I think he was one of the linemen, came out and said, McGuire has basically said we need to be able to run the ball even when everyone in the stadium knows we're about to run it. And then they came out and they did just that. They hand the ball off to Taj Brooks 8 times and are on the cusp of scoring. They were trying to get him the ball for the 9th time after a really terrible spot, speaking of officiating. And, it didn't work out. Back to back fumbles on a handoff, of course. I mean, that's the type of thing that's going to happen today. But are they trolling us? What's going on? I mean, this is not at all what the game plan was last week when you bring the kid out of halftime and just throw him to the wolves and then tell everyone no, that's okay. That was how we meant to do it. That was the right thing to do. You take him on the road, you properly let him settle in. You almost overwork your running backs. You've got Brooks tapping out because he's taking so many carries, and Valdez comes in for a couple. And then, obviously it kind of went away because BYU could tell quickly that this is really about all they can do because their quarterback's going to either overthrow, underthrow, throw at their feet, or throw into space where only players with that beautiful blue logo on their helmets are standing. So it's just kind of weird to get that message from this camp. Then all of a sudden, well, yeah, we got to run the ball. We got to run the ball. Of course. We'd be stupid not to, basically. While everyone's been saying, why didn't y'all lean on that a little bit more last week when the kid came in? But that was just another thing. We can go to the YouTube comments if you want, unless that unearthed another thought that you had.
Oh my gosh, 1 second.
Okay. All right. I'll take it. We got a lot of guys here. Appreciate y'all joining us. I'm going to censor a couple of these, but Steven says we absolutely effing suck. Brennan's here saying he's just here to cope with you. We're here for you, Brennan. Chris is at 2014 all over again. Chase saying at least in 2014, we won 4 games and found Patrick Mahomes. So that's kind of weird when 4 games may seem out of the table right now. It doesn't seem very possible. You kind of have that Central Florida game penciled in at home, and then they go to Norman today and just about upset the Sooners. So who knows what the Big 12 is going to bring. TCU got trounced today by Kansas State after obliterating BYU. No idea. Who knows who's going to show up on Thursday? Either side. Allen saying team is poorly coached. Offensive game plans absolutely suck. Brian, I think this was a team failure, not just individual coaches, players. It was everyone in his opinion. And yeah, we're with you, man. It just, you can't point to one group. You can't point to one person on the staff or one group on the staff or one group on the field. Just a complete and total failure, every side of the ball. Luke, good Lord, that one hurt. Yes, I'm with you. Got Mr. Cardenas in here saying Kitley is trash and that we're hurting the seniors. Can you imagine playing for a person that literally has no idea what he's doing? Ryan, it almost feels as if coaches aren't able to accept when they failed in setting the team up for success. Luke, thanks, Luke. He's saying we should bring it in, guys. We all need a group hug after this disaster. And then Chase is finishing with 14 burger. 14 burger, baby. 50 burgers are overrated. 50 burgers will give you heart disease. You'll have coronary issues. You might have to go get a stent. Those 14 burgers are just right. Y'all remember those Buddy Burgers at Burger King? We're a food podcast. Do y'all remember those when you were a kid? They're like they're like two burgers. They kind of shared a bun in the middle, or they shared like two buns and they were just called Buddy Burgers. Anyway, those were awesome as a kid.
I don't
I
know
think I
anything
got
about
through
those
them all,
burgers.
Spencer. Are you back?
You did. Yeah. Yeah. After the Rangers
Alan's
this
saying
week,
after
and
the
Ted and I'm a
Rangers.
broken
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
With
Spencer's a
you.
true Rangers fan. I am a October Rangers fan, so yeah, that's going to be way tougher on him than me. I was trying to read that for you so you didn't have to. Oh, my town was too small for Burger King too, Luke. We had to go to the big city. We had to go to Abilene, the key city.
Drove through your hometown yesterday, Michael, on the way to my hometown.
Oh, you did?
That's why my
Go Badgers.
video is the way it is. So yeah, we got a nice long week to sit on this one, stew about it before we start our prep
Yeah.
for TCU. Thursday night game following Halloween. So I don't know, man. You got any other thoughts before we wrap it up?
I want to go through my notes. I want to hear about the Cougar Tales. That's about the only thing that's I'm really interested in digging back through on this game. I know that some fans actually some fans that we know got to experience them. I also want to throw Kyle under the bus slightly because he also went to the Wyoming game. So breaking is Kyle of the Gambling Gauchos bad luck. Should he never travel
I'd like
outside of Lubbock for Texas Tech games?
I'd like to blame him, but it's not him. Man.
No, I know. No. As he would say, and as I agree, ain't no curses. Oh yeah, this was the season high rushing game for BYU.
Of course it was.
What else did I see? It was good to see Ramirez back. That's great. I'm not trying to be funny or anything. I'm serious. That's really great to see him back and making some plays. But just a failure of epic proportions on all sides of the ball. And that's all I've got, Spencer.
Yeah, and I'm not there saying this is a McGuire issue, but like he's got some things to fix this offseason. And if they're not fixed, then it will become a McGuire issue for sure. I mean, I don't know. It's just I don't know how many different ways I can say I don't know what to even say about this game. Where to even start? Besides, everything sucked. Everything was terrible. Top down. I mean, literally any level layer of this organization you can look at, from head coach to ball boy, you can complain about and say that they messed something up. But here we are, fans of Texas Tech, because we love it, not because we get any kind of emotional fulfillment or reward for it. Because if we could choose this, then what the hell are we doing?
I saw one thing. There was a tweet this week going around about Jimbo Fisher's record with Jameis Winston and without it. And his record without Jameis Winston, the big argument, I think he was 90-something% with him, but then without him, he was 68%. And I was thinking, hold on, guys. 68%? That's insane.
It's still pretty good.
I can't even imagine. I've never seen that. What would that be like? Anyway.
Yep. All right, that'll do it for us on the 23 Personnel Podcast. This has been your instant reaction to Texas Tech sucking. Um, we'll be back on Tuesday, not to preview TCU, but maybe to preview the basketball season. Who knows? Maybe to tell you how ready we all are to move on and get this 3-9 season behind us. But for Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you guys next time.